Okay, I've got yet another Rodney meta video, likely the last for a while until some new ships come out, because I think I've finally found the best solution for it for what we have right now. The main new discovery I made since the last video is that, although you can't fully sync Implacable with your other main fleet ships, you can sync her with Unzen's torpedo launches. With the setup I've been using in the past few days, Unzen barely deals less than 200k damage. I've done 11 runs with this fleet and only failed to one-shot Rodney in 2 of them. If you want to see all 11 of them, I've left the footage in the description of the video. In a lot of runs, I exit the battle before the end for more attempts, but Shinano's last airstrike can pretty comfortably deal 6 bars of damage, so I recorded those as kills. Note that, at times, you will trigger Rodney's untargetable skill even if your cooldowns are far enough apart, and restarting my emulator fixes it for me, but yeah, it's possible to just get screwed over by that bug. On the surface, it might seem like there's a lot of RNG with Helena and reliance on torpedoes for damage, but in reality, it's pretty consistent. What I learned is that, if you just don't look at the battle, you won't know that Helena didn't proc and won't get mad at her. Regardless of whether she procs or not, all that matters is the result. Let's take a closer look at some clips from the runs I did to see why this setup is so successful. First is the preload. The first salvo of torpedoes will always fire before Rodney even spawns in, so it will never be targeted at her. This is why I opted to tank with Helena rather than Unzen, so I can put Unzen behind Kazagumo and make sure her preloaded torpedoes are always aimed at Rodney. With this Vanguard, the speed is just low enough so that Unzen will rarely go too far forward to aim at Rodney with her preload. She will hit anywhere from 4 to 8 of her torps from her preload, usually towards the higher end. Not tanking with Unzen also allows her to go double Oxytorp to maximize damage, which combined with good hit rate from her preload increases the total damage significantly. It may seem like a gamble to tank with Helena, but she only has to live until 29 seconds remaining for her last radar scan, extended to about 37 seconds due to the damage control protocol auxiliary. Out of the 11 runs, her dying too early only affected the outcome once, and even in that run, the boss was only 5 bars of HP short of dying. Now, I'm going to show you some clips of how Unzen's torpedoes sync up with Implacable's route. The slower your Vanguard is, the more time they will spend around the middle of the battlefield, which allows for Unzen to aim at Rodney with her straight torps, and as long as they're aimed at Rodney, they will most likely all land with the help of Implacable. On the other hand, Kazagumo's cooldowns do not line up with Implacable's route, so she's better off using quad mags for much better consistency. As you've probably noticed, Haku is back in the rotation. She didn't even last a full week on the bench. Since we need Implacable to set up Unzen's torps, we need her to go second and another carrier that can go last and deal as much damage as possible. Haku with Shinano's buffs is really the only option here, but she can do anywhere from 200k to 400k depending on luck. Sometimes, her airstrike will whiff terribly, like in this clip. Her airstrike is capable of doing over 10 bars of damage, but enough misses that she only deals about 3. Other times, all the stars will align, and the boss will have lost nearly half her health after just the first round of airstrikes. Most importantly, the average ends up looking quite promising, which I can't really say for any other option. There's no promise that this setup will work as well for you as it's doing for me, unless you copy everything to the T. However, you can see direct evidence in the footage that it does as well as I'm claiming. I also tried the exact same fleet, but with Aurora over Helena. In 11 runs, it killed 5 times, so just under 50% success rate. It also ended up being less consistent than using Helena. However, since Aurora is even slower than Helena, It increases Unzen's torpedo hit rate even further. On screen now is a compilation of the preloads from the Aurora runs, and it is pretty glorious to see full torpedo preloads consistently landing on auto. I really wanted to make Aurora work, but at the end of the day, Helena is just better here. However, being second best to Helena isn't exactly something to be ashamed of. I don't think you can replace Aurora with another ship here other than Helena that will increase the success rate of one-shotting the boss. Hindenburg and Plymouth certainly won't work, and Shimakaze is unfortunately held back by her high speed. Anyway, I know that many people are not enjoying this boss, but personally I had a pretty good time trying things out to get around the non-sinking restriction, which I've never had to do. Although, ironically, I ended up back to sinking in the end, just not around the main fleet. I think this combination of USS Torps on Unzen with Implacable should be transferable to future bosses, and potentially make Unzen competitive with Hindenburg even against medium armor. We'll have to see.